But here's a thought. Do you think your experience of the pandemic has changed the way you look at the world? We all had our own very personal experiences, both good and very bad, in the pandemic, but we were all in it together in one way or another. There was that analogy that seemed fitting, same storm, but in a different boat. Well, all this week on BBC Radio Wiltshire, we've been meeting people who've shared their stories in a new book. It's called Unlocked: Portraits of the Pandemic, and it's been written by local Swindon writer Millie Stone. One Swindon man found himself seduced during the pandemic by online gambling, got himself into thousands and thousands of pounds worth of debt. Rich Loveday's been telling me his story.
Yeah, it was pretty savage. It was savage for everybody. Obviously, lots of people lost loved ones and, had to deal with that side and the emotions. But obviously other people had to deal with the whole sort of the lockdown and, not being able to go around their day-to-day business. For me, it affected me with, what I do with, as hobbies and organising shows and attending gyms, just general day-to-day living.
Yeah, so without the shows to promote, how did you find yourself changing? What happened?
I mean, for me, I think having that, you couldn't have that regular contact with people, that face-to-face, I think a lot of people suffered with that, not being able to have that contact and with people they know or they love or they just associate with. But with the impact for me, because without putting the events on, it had a big financial impact and, which then affects your personal life and you make other decisions and take wrong routes,
Yeah. And what was the wrong route you found yourself down, Rich?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, over many years, I've struggled with gambling. And obviously, for me, that was a big trigger because the worry of not having money, then it prompted me to sort of turn to online gambling, which was very dangerous. And because you couldn't go out to casinos or bookies, I think a lot of people probably turn to online gambling, and I know it's a massive problem. And for me, it just sort of had a big impact because you don't always win, and when you don't win, then you can't pay the bills, and life gets tough. How
bad did it get, Rich?
I think it got so bad, I had to turn to sort of my parents for help. Couldn't pay bills, struggled with how am I going to pay my rent, and then that, has a big impact. When you're worrying about that, then obviously your children, it passed the worry on to them, and so it was quite devastating.
How old are your children?
So I've got blessed with 3 beautiful girls. My oldest daughter, she's 23. My middle daughter, Sophie's just turned 21, and Millie, my youngest, is 13. I'm quite blessed that the 2 older girls, they're both working, and I'm real proud of what they're achieving. But it's, even for everyone when they're seeing, I guess, even their mum, everyone struggled, with financial difficulties. And but for me, I think the pandemic was a big key factor in me sort of turning to gambling again, and it wasn't good.
And have you turned your life around? Have you come through this? Are you all right now?
I mean, obviously, many years ago, I sought help from the fellowship, from Gamblers Anonymous. I mean, a lot of it, I've put my own barriers in place to try and, stop the urge to gamble. So, obviously, I can't really gamble like I used to because I haven't got the money to. So, but it's just a case of, I need to go back to the fellowship because when I was attending there, it was helping me. And but life is so much better now. We're all out in the open. It's events can now take place, which is magnificent, and I see light at the end of the tunnel now, which is great.
Yeah, and it's great to hear as well, Rich. Do you think this whole experience has changed you? Changed your aspirations, changed your values, changed who you are?
I think definitely, the outlook on life and how people treat how you treat other people. I was probably a bit sort of naive to a lot of things, and I'm a bit of a believer about a lot of stuff on the media. how the pandemic was sort of put out, but just looking at it, sort of take things for granted anymore. I don't think we can. I just live one day at a time and one step at a time. That's how I live. That's how I operate now.
Yeah, that's Rich Loveday, whose story you can read in a new book, Unlocked: Portraits of the Pandemic. And it's by Millie Stone, who writes as A.J. Stone. And Rich told me that he wanted to tell his story in that book to own up to his gambling addiction and just remind himself how far he's come. And if you've been affected by any of the issues raised in that interview, you can visit bbc.co.uk/actionline.
Sue Kinnear.